I'm back. Ugh. It was a very unintended pause in podcasting, but I am back. I have so much to share with you over the past few weeks that I have not been with you all. And I'm just going to say this now. It's going to be a long one. I have a ton of things to share with you. So grab your crafting, get a drink, cozy up on whatever soft, comfortable surface you have, and let's get into it. Take 64. What's good, peacemakers? Welcome back to another episode of the Piece for Piece Crafting podcast. I'm Michael, and this is my crafty corner of the YouTube universe. If you would like to follow me on other social medias, you can do so by following me over on Ravelry as Piece4PeaceCraft or on Instagram as Piece4PeaceCrafting. And if you like music, there is a Spotify playlist that goes along with this podcast at Piece4PeaceCrafting podcast playlist. I feel a little bit like, what am I doing? Because I haven't done this in a minute. But a couple deep breaths, and we can get right back into it. Everyone, how have you been? I looked at when my last post was, and it was at the end of April, which is crazy. So that means the whole month of the end of April, the whole month of May, and now we are 3 days into June, and I'm finally able to sit down and record. A lot has been happening in my world, so let me just give you a brief little how this episode is gonna go, because I'm really nervous. It's gonna be over an hour. So those of you that are like, oh, we love it when the podcast is a little bit longer. Well, today might be your lucky day. So we'll do a little catch up for a minute, and then I have some FOs to chat with you all about. I have a couple whips that I've been working on. And then toward the end, just in case, folks aren't into it, I went to Knit City, Montreal, which was, 2 weeks ago now? So I have a little bit of chat about that, a lot of acquisitions that I may have acquired while I was there. So I'll save that for the end. So anyone who's not interested in watching that, you don't have to sit through and watch. And for those of you who are like, bring on all of the things, then you can continue on to the end of the podcast. So to catch you all up, things have been crazy. The end of April saw the organization that I work for. They had like the main company of dancers, the ones that I used to dance with, had their final performances of their season. And so one of my really good friends was retiring from dance one of the weekends that I was going to, I think like right after I'd podcast, like the next time I was supposed to, that weekend, he was retiring from the company and it's like stopping dancing. And so obviously I had to go to that performance, and it was really sad and emotional and also joyous and fun. So yeah, got to do that. I love going to see my friends dance. It brings me joy. And then after that, schools have been schooling, and I can't really remember. I should go back and check. I think around this time last year as well, I took a little bit of an unintentional break too. Just because the end of the school year tends to be a little bit crazy. just like wrapping things up, getting our final performances that are in the schools ready, getting some programs that like I run that aren't in the schools together for their final performances. And so it just becomes very hectic, and like I get very scatterbrained and all over the place, just in trying to like make sure everything is going to be presented the way that it needs to be presented. And then I think we spoke about this last time or the time before. I was having some health things, and so those sort of crept back in, and things seem to be okay now, and so I'm still waiting for some results, but I don't want to give too much information because that's not what you're here for. And so yeah, just in like dealing with that, obviously if you've had any sort of health things, and if you're like me, you tend to stress a little bit about it. And of course, doctors and professionals telling you not to stress just adds more stress. And so just like mentally, I wasn't in a state, while I was thankfully still crafting, because that did help to just like keep me at ease. Like I just wasn't mentally in a place to like want to sit down and know that I wasn't going to bring you something that was going to be worth watching, because I was going to be too in my head about it. And so, yeah, I was like, I have to take this week off. I can't do anything. Like I need to just zone out. Then after that, like I said earlier, or just a minute ago, I went to Knit City, Montreal, with a friend of mine who's a really good friend. We've known each other for over 15 years, maybe. He's also a crafter, but not as down the rabbit hole as I am. And so the two of us went up. We have a mutual friend that dances for Les Grands Ballets des Canadiens there. And so he went to go and hang out with her and to come to Knit City, Montreal. They both did. She's also a crafter. But we stayed in a house with Kevin and Ray from Needles at the Ready, which I will talk about more later, but it was a rip-roaring good time. Aside from one thing that if you watch Needles at the Ready, you know what happened to the two of them at one point. So we won't get into that here. But other than that, the trip was amazing. We got to hang out with Max and Vincent of Blake Arson. We got to do a bunch of really cool things, and it was really neat to see a lot of companies, I guess, that aren't here in the States, but to see them at a local event there in Montreal. It was like really amazing. And so if you stick around for the end, you will know that I went a little bit crazy. And maybe that's not the right way to say it, but like it was truly a child in a candy store. And so I had to get all the things. Even though I did go in with a plan of like, here are a couple things I do want to get, there were some definite like, oh, and you're going to get this too, by the way. So good times. All right, I think that's everything. That's sort of very vague, but also like brief overview of what's been happening in my life. I hope all of you have been doing well, hanging in there. Oh, the best thing that's happened literally yesterday was, so here in Chicago, schools don't get out until, so today's the 3rd. So I think schools don't get out until the 7th or 8th of June. I don't really know. It's a little iffy for me. Could I look at a calendar? Yes. Do I want to? No. Because my last classes that I had to teach for my in-school programming were yesterday on Friday. And so as soon as I was done teaching that class in the morning, I like bolted out of the school, was like huge weight off my shoulders. Like, okay, that's done. I can like breathe a little bit. Not that I get the summers off, but like it'll be a little bit slower. I won't be running around the city as much. And another program that I run that's not in schools, but it's a scholarship program, that also had their final performance in the evening. So the morning started off with, yay, last class in schools, and the evening culminated in some of my scholarship students doing their final performance. And that was great as well. So pretty much, like, I have to go to work today because another group is performing, but I'm not in charge of them, so I'm literally the greeter at the door, which will be fun. So like a lot of that stress is off of my shoulders now. Okay, so that's it. I'm super excited now that it's warming up here. Yes, I'm wearing a sweater. Yes, it's 80 something degrees outside. If you can hear a low hum of a fan, it is because I don't want to be shiny while I'm recording this. Yeah, so I'm super excited to start my morning beach dips again now that all my programming and stuff is done. And I can have a little bit more time in the mornings before I have to go to work. So hopefully that'll be starting soon. So if you follow me on Instagram, you will definitely see pictures in my stories of that. And yeah, that's it. Okay, 11 minutes in. Maybe it's not that long, actually, once I edit everything together. Shall we get into it? You can see all the craziness that I've been up to. You all, today there's a little bit of everything. There's some spinning, there's some knitting, there's some crochet. I've been working on all the things. So let's start with some FOs, shall we? I have, this is so ridiculous. I have 8 FOs. I could feel some of you say, what? Let's back up. 5 of them are same but different. 2 of them are same but different. So have a breath. All right, so we'll start here. So everything's gonna be a few weeks ago, if I'm being honest. But a few weeks ago, when I was just like not really feeling like I could sit down and really like knit anything or crochet the thing that I'm working on, I had been missing like using my spinning wheel. And I've been talking to some folks about spinning, and I like saw a video, someone I follow on Instagram because the greatest enabler, was like doing, it was like a reel of someone just doing long draw, right? So that, for those that don't spin, it's when, it's just a drafting technique to get a more woolen spun yarn. So it's like trapping the air in there, it's making it light and a little bit lofty. I think that's the right word. It's a more airy yarn, right? We love using those, us crafters. As opposed to a worsted weight, which is more compact, it's gonna give you like a denser fiber. And so I'd seen this video and I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe that's what I need to just like settle my mind a little bit and to get into like using my wheel again, because I really was missing it. And so I decided I was gonna practice because I'd never done that. I always do, what is it called? Like a short forward draft when I've been spinning. And so I thought, why not try another technique, right? So, sorry, there's like, you all, if I could take a picture of everything around me, it is quite ridiculous. So, I had this fiber. Now, I'm gonna show you all a bunch of skeins that I have spun recently, and I still need to put tags on everything. So, like, I've written things on bags. I have a, what is this? Oh, this is like a PBS envelope that I have some things written down on. We do what we gotta do, right? It was on the table next to me. Here we go. All right, so these are going here because I'm gonna pull those up next. If you wanna not fall. Perfect. So the first thing I did was I had this fiber that maybe two winters ago, is that true? Not this past winter, but the winter before maybe. One of the Nutcracker kids' mom knew that I was a crafter, and I just recently gotten a spinning wheel. Slow down there, friend. And she like gifted me some fiber, some Rolags. I've shown them on the podcast before, and so those are from Handmade Hollows. So here's their little tag. And the colorway was called Peace for these Rolags, which I loved. And so this fiber content was Fin Merino, Toonie, Firestar, Angelina. A lot of things in there. And I was like, oh, well, they're Rolags. Just from watching and trying to figure things out, those are perfect for spinning woolen, a more woolen spun yarn. And so also because the way that I approach things, while I know some stuff, I don't know other things, right? Like I don't know what I don't know. And so, but what I do know is a lot of things are harder to spin than other things, right? So if you have like silk in it, it's going to be a little slipperier. I think if you have like tinsel and things in it, it's a little harder to spin. And because I don't know any better, I just like grab things and I go and I'm like, let's see what happens. So this is the fiber that I spun from Handmade Hollows. And this is what it turned out to be. So it was white and blue. You can see the little Celine in there. And this was really fun. Did I bring my little notebook with all the things written down in it? Like how many yards I got? No, I didn't. Are they written down on some of these tags that are sitting next to me? Yes, they are. So I have to go through and like tag everything, and then they'll end up, maybe it's behind me, end up in one of these cubbies, which I have to reorganize because I do. So yeah, this ended up looking really great. It's definitely slightly wonky. I can undo it for you. Oh, yeah, I can undo it. I'll just retwist it. It's fine. It definitely is more of a worsted weight. So here's what that looks like. But it's like, there's some inconsistencies, obviously, because this is my first time doing it. And yeah, I think it turned out pretty well. I was happy with it for my first go round of it. And it got me excited to try more. So that was the first little guy that I spun up. That was a horrible way to re-skein that. So that was my first one. Then I think that was maybe 3 ounces of fiber. And so then the next thing I decided to spin was many episodes ago now, maybe back in February. It was in February. I went to Memphis with my friend who went with me to Montreal. And we stopped at a yarn store there. I think it was called Fiber Parts, ? And I picked up a bat from there just because I was like, one day I'm going to spin this. Well, that day came. And so that one was only 2 ounces worth of fiber. And it just said like autumn tweed mix. And so it has these little nubs in there from the little tweed, poor voice, from the tweed. And this is how this one spun up. So with the first one, I think there were 6 Rolags, and so I spun 3 and spun 3, and then I applied them together to do a 2-ply. And with this one, so there's definitely less yardage in this. With this one, oh no, I decided that I was going to try to spin it a little bit thinner and then chain ply it together. And so that kept the integrity of the colors. So you get like these really prominent, just like golden yellow, and then some of that nice, like, what is that, burgundy color. But then you also have some of the bits that are the 2 of them together, just like as the color was changing. So this was really cool. I want to say this ended up being like 80 something yards, maybe. It's written down somewhere, because it was only 2 ounces of fiber. So yeah, that was fun. So then by this point, I'm definitely like, oh, see, that was much better. Look at how nice that looks. What? By this point, I was hooked. I was in it. I was like, okay, bring it on. Give me all the things. So the next thing I ended up spinning was, trying to go in order. Is this right? Yes, this one was next. So this was some fiber that I don't remember where I picked it up from. It could have been from Webs, maybe. Anyway, I don't know how to say the name of this, so I'm just going to show you the tag. Frabjous Fibers. Someone out there will know. Good times. So this was a BFL and silk blend. So it was 70% oatmeal BFL and 30% Tussa silk. And does it say how many? This was a 4-ounce braid. They're from Vermont. So, okay, fun story with this one. I'd seen Hedgehog Fibers, maybe? I think so. I did a video of them making faux lags, right? I was like, what is that? And so basically what they were doing was they were taking the braid, and obviously, because, you know, it comes in a braid, they were undoing it and then fluffing it up, just like prepping it. So, because, you know, it gets a little smashed together. And they opened it up, and then they took, I don't know, some sort of spherical thing. I used a Sharpie, because why not? And they would roll it. So, like, if you were using a blending board, they would roll it some, and then they'd pull the fiber out, and then finish rolling it, pop the thing out. So they're making these little tiny faux lags. I actually took a picture, if I remember, future me, put a photo in here, of the ones that I made. So basically while I was doing it, I was separating out, you can see in the photo, the colors, so that I could play with the colors a little bit, try to keep them together some, and yeah, just see how it spun up. So with this skein, I made the faux lags, spun them, like you would a row lag, and did I just do one? I did one continuous thing again, because I enjoyed chain plying the last one that I showed you, and I ended up with this baddie. What? I love how this turned out. So this ended up giving me, because I have it written down, 206 yards approximately, in 4 ounces. And I think, excuse me, doing the chain ply on this one, because I just spun the whole thing and then chain plied it. So that's giving me like a 3-ply, because because you're chaining it and then it's spinning around the one. It gave me a 3-ply that is super round and looks really beautiful. So this is how the light is blowing it out a little bit. It's slightly darker than what you're seeing right now, but it's really muted because of that oatmeal colored BFL. And sort of the pinks and the blues are all together, but there's definitely some overlapping. And I have to say with this one, because I did the chain ply on it, it's like, I heard someone else say this, like, it is hiding a lot of those imperfections that I would have gotten had I just done a 2-ply on them. So it made for a nice round yarn. And I love this. I think it looks really great. And like all of these, I have no idea what I'm going to use them for. It was just, I needed something to be doing to like keep my mind going. So this is how that skein ended up. Maybe it's better back here. Maybe it's better up here. Back here, up here, back here. Are you dizzy yet? So that was that. Love this. I'm going to put this little tag back on it just so I remember if it'll fit, what it was. Okay, 2 more. That's gonna fit. Amazing. We love it. All right, then moving right along, which is which? This one's this one. All right, then I was like, I'm going through my stash and I'm getting all of the things. So this is some fiber from Into the World, and it is Godric's Hollow. And this one is 70% Shetland and 30% silk. Why I was trying to spin things with silk in it. Also, why I bought them. Like, what was I thinking? But also, I don't know any better. So it ended up being great. So this is how this one turned out. This one I definitely did a 2-ply with. That yellow is very bright. So this is just some yellows, grays. This I ended up getting about 240 yards. I need water. And this one is a 2-ply, and so if I hold it close, you can see like a little bit of the inconsistency in the spinning, but like that's why we love hand spun. It's not always going to be perfect. And also, like, I'm not aiming for it to be perfect. I'm aiming for it to be usable. So whatever that means. Yeah, love how this turned out. Really pretty. The yellows and golds, obviously we live for them. All right, good times. So that was that. I just have really been loving being at my wheel. And the last one, I told you, 5, same, but difference. The last one, actually, I just did this week. Yeah, this past week. So I had another braid from Into the World, which is also, so the Into the World ones are 4 ounces each, and this one is called Bigger on the Inside. And I got about 216 yards for this. Now, I was, as one does, as you're falling down the rabbit hole, I had seen someone doing a 2-ply, and just, okay, this is gonna annoy me. 1 second, please. And I liked the way that they were doing the 2-ply. It was a little bit different than how I had been doing it. Just in like how they were holding their hands and the way that the fiber could like not slowly, that's the wrong word. The way that it could wrap around itself to be a little tighter. People who spin a lot, you probably know the correct terminology that I should be saying, but like I don't, so whoopsies. Anyway, so I tried doing that, and I gotta say, the twist that I want is the twist, or that I was aiming for is like the path that what am I saying? The twist that I was aiming for is sort of what I got out of this, and so I'm gonna keep that in mind as I continue trying to spin for, because I really want to spin for a project. I know some of you have been here for a while. You're like, you started that other project and you never finished it that you were spinning for. Like, get off my back. There's no judgment here. But I do have another project that I want to spin for, and so I'm trying to just like figure things out. Anyway, this is called, it looks huge. This is called Bigger on the Inside. So this one was also woolen spun. I'm obsessed. So this one is just 100% Jacob. I figured after, so the first 4 that I showed all had some sort of like mixed content, right? Like the little Tweety bits, the Stellina, and the things, silk in it. And so I really, after doing those, I was like, oh, you know what you should do is because I like working backwards, is you should just get something that's just wool. Like nothing else. See how that spins up. See if you like it. And so that's what I did. So this is just Jacob. And I think it's pretty kick butt, if I do say so myself. It's so fluffy and airy, which is awesome. And this just made me really happy and made me feel like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now you're going in the right direction. This one, how did I spin this? Oh, I just split the braid in 2 and then did the long draw the whole time. And then I spun the 2 together. Like, same ends so that it matched up sort of, and so there is some overlapping of the blue and the orange in certain spots, but I think it looks really dope and I'm so happy with it. Yeah, this one for sure, I want to find something to knit with it just because I want to see how it knits up. It just is pretty to me. Definitely some thick and thin spots, but like I said, I'm totally okay with that. Like, that's what happens when you're learning and you're making hand spun. It's not commercial. I am not a machine. Although some people, based on the way that I do my projects, just like, are like, you are a machine. I'm not. Yeah, so that's that. All right, good times. Great Lakes, pure Michigan. So that's all of the spinning that I did in the time that I haven't been with you. Woof, that was a lot. All right, next up for this FO parade, where did I put those? Ah, here they are. All right, so the last time I was with you, I was working on a pair of socks, and those socks are clearly done because it's been a little over a month. Do I remember the colorway? No. I think they're called Bebop. These are KnitPicks Felici, and these are done. Whoa, the lights make it look... Oh, there we go. That looks good back there. So the light blue and yellow. Someone commented it's giving German flag, and I love that. So these, if you remember, or if you don't, if you're new here, hey boo, what's up? They don't match. I grabbed the two balls and just ran out of the house with them and cast on the bus. So these don't match, which at first I was like, this is giving me chaos. It's very hectic. But once I finished them, I was like, oh no, they're cute. Like, whatever, they're fine. So for my socks, I knit them on a US 1, 2.25, and I do them toe up. So I do a Turkish cast on with 14 wraps and then start building the toe. And I increase to 68 stitches and then just go until the ancestors tell me to stop. And I do an afterthought heel. So I just measure. My go-to measurement for socks is I usually knit until the foot of the sock is around 7 3/4 of an inch. And then I place my markers and then I just keep going so that I know that that's where my heel's gonna go. Also too, that gives me, for me personally, however you're doing your socks, you do you. But for me, knowing that measurement, like I have one of those little sock ruler thingies that I stick on the inside of it. Just because sometimes I'm not always knitting with the same type of yarn for socks. So like this is KnitPicks Felici, which to me feels a little bit thinner than, let's say, that base that Woolens and Nosh has, which is a little bit thicker, or a Patton's Croy. And so instead of trying to figure out, oh, I need, let's say, I don't know, 70 rows for my foot, for me, I just go, oh, I know that if I cut in my heel here, it's going to fit me because no matter what the density of the yarn is, if that makes sense. So these are pair of socks number 1. I'm so happy that I'm finally showing them to you, so now I can add these to the pile and start wearing them. Yes, I waited until I spent some time with you all to show them. And the second pair of socks that I have, so 2 finished objects, same but different, are you all. Okay, so the pair that I showed just now, those, they flew, but not too fast. They were quick. These, like, off the needles. So this is Fiber Punk. Oh, I don't have the tag with me, but you'll hear me talk about his yarn again. It's a something in nylon, merino nylon or something or other. Anyway, I've talked about it before. you can go back in a previous episode and look for details. And so this is in the Progressive Pride colorway. And so since it's June, it's actually fitting that I'm showing these now. So these are in the Progressive Pride colorway. Yes, can we? So good. So these are not only the pride flag, so the rainbow flag, but they also incorporate the trans flag and the black and brown stripe, making it the progressive flag. Same thing as I did with my other socks. Cast these on toe up so that I could use as much of the yarn as possible. So I started, so the flag actually, the way that I'm holding it up goes this way. Started at the toe, went, measured to my spots, and then cut in the heel. I definitely asked some folks what color I should start since the stripe was gonna be between the white and pink. And red was the winner, just starting at the beginning of the rainbow. And on both of them, they ended up having just the blue stripe as I was doing the Kitchener, which I thought was really cute. So I am beyond happy with these. I love them so much. Like, I want to wear them, but also, like, I like them so much that I'm like, maybe you don't wear these and they just sit somewhere and look pretty, but I'm gonna end up wearing them. I have I have a few more skeins from Fiberpunk, so yeah, I love the stripes. I love everything about it. So these are the Progressive Pride Stripe socks. I love them. Fiberpunk yarn, good times. All right, so those are my 2 sock FOs. So if you're counting, someone's out there keeping tabs. That was 7 things that have been done. 1 more to go. Woo! All right, so the last baddie McBaddie, which I'm sure you can tell, is I finished my, if I do this, ooh. I finished my Wrong Side Sweater by Max Sincere, or Max the Knitter, over on Instagram. And I am so excited about this. So I actually just finished this, maybe 2 days ago. And then I did the ends, which I'll talk about in a second, and then blocked it yesterday, and just it's so hot here. Had the windows open, put it near the window, put a fan on it. It was dry by today. We live, we love. All right, so I'm gonna scoot a little bit closer. So this was all knit in, oh, I have it, like I don't have it. So I use Plotolopi, which is the unspun, so it comes in these little plates, yarn from what is it, Lopi, whatever the name of that company is. So this was online, it said the color was Cosmo, so it has little flecks of primary colors in it. And for my contrast colors, I had some Let Lopi, so I held that double. So like you can see, I was pulling from the inside and the outside to get a worsted gauge. And then I mixed that with, this was a blue that I used in my Maya sweater. I had some left over, and then I bought this bright, what was that, fuchsia pink to go with it as my accent colors. Let me put these over here so I'm not, this progression, it's all going this way. So I have, let's talk about this for a minute. You all, the past couple times that I've knit sweaters, I do all the calculations, I look at the yardage, I order what is necessary, and I'm having low-key a lot left over. And I don't know what that means. I know my row gauge is never what it says in the pattern, which means that my stitches are longer, which probably is why I'm having yarn left over in the end, but it's really blowing my mind. Out of those little plates for this, I have 2 that I never opened, and then like if I added the 2 that I was using to do the sleeves, it'd probably be like 1.5, 1 and some change. So I have like 3 and a little left of those plates, which I think is kind of wild. Anyway, so this sweater is knit on, I have the pattern here. This sweater is knit on, the recommended needle size is, one moment please, is a US 6, so a 4mm, or a US 4, and a US 4, which is a 3.5mm needle. And I knit size B3. So this pattern has like A measurements and B measurements. And so I knit B3, which I think was a 42-inch chest, which it was. So when I do my measurements, I am about a 42, 43, depending on the day. And when I did my swatch for it, because I hadn't used this Plotolopi before, I was getting a bigger gauge, but I liked the fabric that it was making. So I knew that I could size down one and get a size that was in between the size that I wanted and the size that I didn't want. Why was I saying that? Oh, so with that being said, I used the recommended needles, blah, 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 all that. I think the fit is, you can see the mic, the fit is fabulous. For the, so, okay, rewind, go back. So for this, you knit the whole thing like a normal stockinette sweater, and then at the end you flip it inside out. So there's like some finishing things with the stripes that you have to pay attention to, so that as you're carrying the yarn, it's not going to end up on the side that's actually going to be showing. Yeah, so if I hold it you can see all the little bits in there, and it's the reverse stockinette side, but then the cuffs look normal. What? Yeah. I love it. I think this little detail, I don't know if you can see it because it's so dark. Let me try to get a little closer. Of the raglan is really beautiful. I'm very close. Hi, everyone. And I like there's a little yellow pop. Here's a little blue one. Here's a yellow one here. I like the style of it. So I think the original was done in, what is that called? La Bien-Aimée Corey Confetti. Somebody can fact check me. And so it has the little blips of color in it, and I thought that this would be a more cost-effective version for me. And yeah, I could still get the same vibe that I wanted. So for the contrast colors, I decided to switch them up on the sleeves. So I think this was supposed to be, it was supposed to be the same order. So I think Jonathan from Jonathan's Days here on YouTube did this too on his sweater, and I really liked that. I was like, oh, that's so cute with it going in the reverse order. And then because I'm extra, I'll stand up, I also did it on the hem as well. Adding color, adding my own flair. Yeah, and so then because of the nature of the yarn, it being this like super rustic, it's giving me, she needs to go to the dentist because she is toothy. I wove in my ends, and then with the unspun, like I wove them in, and I had a felting needle, and I just did a little bit tick, 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 of felting it onto itself so that I knew for sure it wasn't going to go anywhere. What? Yeah, we love that. So this is the last FO. I'm in love with it. We love another sweater being off the needles, which I'm sure I've said it before, but it's crazy to think like, it's crazy for me to think that like a couple years ago, I was not knitting sweaters. Like I was a little bit afraid of it. Like for a human, the bigger human size, like little kids, you can kind of fudge and they're gonna be fine because they're little and they're not gonna wear it for long. But like a big person size, yeah, I don't know why I was so scared of it. And now I just am like, I don't know what I don't know, so I just do it. And then I'm like, oh, I've learned so much along the way. That's really great. Yeah, can't say enough great things about it. Loved the pattern. Max's patterns are some of those that like I don't like. I swatched for this because I was new to the fiber, but like I don't usually need to swatch for because I've made a bunch of his sweaters now, and I gauge everything off of my single malts. So I did the same thing with this, just making sure everything looks proportionally right. I do have written down like I like my sleeves to be this length before the cuff starts and all that stuff, but just holding it up to another sweater that I love really does help in the process and make things a lot easier. So this is my wrong side. Super happy that it's done and I can cast on something else. Yeah, highly recommend if you have someone in your life that would like really dig a very like casual, fun sweater. Although I've seen it done in one color and it also looks beautiful that way too. I would definitely check out this pattern. Everything that I've talked about will be linked below. Good thing saying that halfway in. So if you have any questions about patterns or fiber, yarn, all those things, links to all those shops will be listed below. And you can click there and find everything out. All right, so you all, that was like 90 minutes of just FOs. Luckily, I only have 2 whips. So let's have a moment and then we'll come back and I'll get into my whips. All right, so for me, it was a quick little pause. I needed to make sure that I wasn't gonna be coughing. I needed some water. That was a lot of talking. For you, this is just gonna keep playing. So you didn't even care that I stopped and had to restart. Anywho, let's get into some whips. So, I actually don't have anything big on the needles right now because I just finished this sweater, obviously. But I am working on a couple of things. So, the first thing is a little bit of crochet. So this is from the, I think I talked about this on the last episode, but honestly, it was so long ago, I don't really remember. This is from issue 44. Of Pom Pom Quarterly, and so I'm making this little market bag, little bag. It's supposed to resemble like a plastic bag you get from the grocery. So this, let me find the photo of it for you. So this is a pattern by Julia Maddle. So this is the Overprint bag. Really cute. I thought this would be fun. It has a little pocket on the inside. Right, good times. So, I hadn't crocheted anything in a minute, and I was like, let me pull out some things. So I did have to buy a new hook, and you all, this is a B hook, or a 2.25 millimeter. You all, oh, now I feel like a real YouTuber. This is so tiny, it's a no for me. But I am enjoying using it now that I have the hang of it. Something's bothering Kendrick, so he's very huffy. Here are the colors that I'm... Fran, what's the problem? Someone's probably outside. And he can hear them. So here are the colors that I'm using. Actually, I don't even know if I have... I don't have them all in this bag, but I do have the tags. So I'm using Comfy. It's a sport weight, and it is KnitPicks, and it's 75% Pima cotton and 25% acrylic. So here it is. And let me see if I can remember. So here's what I'm doing. Since I don't have all the balls in here, but I can show you. Oh my God, maybe I do. They're all stuffed in this bag. Here are all the squares. What? So, let me see if I can remember all the colors. So we have, there's Marina, Hawk, Honey, and I'm missing a label. Marina, Hawk, Honey. Oh, and Hollyberry. Okay, great. So this is the Hollyberry. They're just fun little squares. This is the Marina. So there's 6 of Holly Berry, 6 of Marina. Then 4 of the, did I say it was called Honey? Of the Honey. So cute. And then 4 of the Hawk. Also very cute. And then I have one side of the bag done. This means nothing to anyone. One side of the bag done. And this is a little pin that I got from, where was I? From YarnCon. This is from Gelby. It's a little Monstera leaf. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. So one side of the bag done. So I need to, oh, and I lost a stitch. But the great thing about crochet is they're easy to pick back up. So the cool thing about this bag is, so I've crocheted a bunch over the years. And what color do I want to show you in? Let's show you in the yellow. Let's show you in the Marina. And something that was new to me while doing this is the pattern calls for you to do, oh my gosh, wait a minute. So you all, I wanted to start this project and I'm like, oh my gosh, squares, great. Love it, done a bunch in the past. This is gonna be so easy. I start on a square, I'm just like going, knocking it out, I finish it. And I didn't cut it, I just was like looking at it and one of the sides was like, it looked like a house. It wasn't right. And so I'm like, oh, that's so weird. Like I'm doing what the pattern has written out for me to do. Like I get to the end, I join it to the first one, and then I kept going. And I started these squares 4 times because I just wasn't, it wasn't clicking. And I was like, what is happening? Like you definitely like crocheted a square before. You've made blankets, you made so many things. What is your problem? And then one evening I was on a walk with a dog and I was just like, why is this not working for me? And I realized that I wasn't continuing to do double crochets into the stitches that are in the end of the previous row. I was just like connecting it because that's what it said to do. Then, so I was like, okay, maybe that's the problem. Went in, everything worked out great. I was like, oh my gosh, you're so goofy. Like, how did you miss that? Then because it's easily memorizable, yeah. I was looking at the written instructions again, and I decided to turn the page because I wanted to see what was coming next. And there was a whole picture of everything. You know, like the little, is it called a schematic? I don't think so. Maybe? Of just like what you're supposed to be doing. So then I felt like even more of a goofball. Anyway, once I realized that, they flew by. Although I will say on such a tiny hook with this cotton acrylic yarn, it's a pinch splitty, so I really have to just like focus a little bit more instead of just like whipping through and going through them. But one of the cool things that is in the pattern that I'd never done before is a chainless double crochet. I'd never heard of that. So normally when you get to the end of the round and you like do your slip stitch and you're gonna build for the next one, you chain 2 or you chain 3 and then you start going. So for this, you don't do that. There's a way that you can pull it up and make the double crochet without doing the chain, and in doing so, it makes it so that, you know how sometimes when you do that, you get like, if this is your chain stitch, it gets a little bit like this. So this is the next one. And it like bows a little bit and it's weird and maybe it's a little gappy. That doesn't happen. Like you can definitely see where it begins, obviously. But it just makes for a much, like if I'm holding it back here, come through. Like, what? That looks amazing. Obviously, if you get close, you can see where the beginning is, but it doesn't have that gap in it. I am obsessed. I was like, where is this stitch bin in my crochet journey up until this point. And so I'm doing the same thing on the ends for the bag. Oh my gosh, I should have snipped this, but I was nervous. And so it's just making for a much cleaner edge, which I think is just really gorge. I love it. So I need to do the other side, and then I can start sewing everything together before I do like the finishing touches on it and making the handles and all that, or the straps that go along with it. But I'm really enjoying that. It's been so nice to get back into having a crochet project. Like I can just sit and like watch something silly on the TV, and it's wonderful. I love it. All right, my last my last whip is, and I don't have a problem showing this because it's June now and everyone should have theirs. So you all, much like trying to get tickets to go and see Beyonce in July, Woolens and Nosh has this like monthly yarn subscription. And when it started, I tried to get involved, and I clearly was too slow and too late in the day to sign up for it. So it's like, actually, you know what? Like, it's all good. You have plenty of self-striping stuff that you can do. You're fine. Fast forward. Maybe it was the beginning of May. Maybe it was, what's the month before that? Maybe it was the end of April. I don't really remember. I was like leaving a school, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, I just logged onto Instagram, and sure enough, the first post that popped up, and it said, I can't forget this, posted a minute ago, there are more spots available for the yarn club. So me, click on the links, go do the thing, add to cart. I have Apple Pay on my phone, so I did the little double click, went through, secured my spot. I was like, honey, Michelle is giving Beyonce a run for her money. These are exclusive. So, excited to be in the monthly club. It's a mystery club. You don't know what the colors are going to be for the self-striping. You just get a bundle of joy in the mail. So, I was able to get it, which I was really excited about. I love a self-striping. And I've made one pair of socks using this yarn before and absolutely loved it. So this is Woolens and Nosh. Can you see? And this is on her Superwash Targhee fingering. So it's 90% Targhee, 10% nylon. It's a 3-ply. It's 411 yards for 100 grams. And this is the May club. So while I was gone in Montreal, I got the message, your package has been delivered. And let me tell you, oh, like the day I got home. It was so perfect. So I get home, oh, which was also a story. I get home, I go to find the package. It's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did they, in my building, there's only 6 units. That's too much information. And so we bring in packages for each other, and like we'll leave them by each other's doors, or we just set it on the front steps so that you can get it when you're going to your house. Anyway, wasn't there, wasn't in front of the door, so I go online to like see, make sure, because sometimes packages say that they're delivered and then they're delivered the next day. Shady business. In such haste of trying to order these, I put the wrong address in. And it was just 2 doors down. So I went to that apartment building, someone buzzed me in, I got the package. I have since gone back in my account and changed the address. Luckily I got it. So this is the May colorway. If everyone should have theirs by now. It's June, girl. Like, you're fine. So this colorway is called Pinnets, Pinwheels, and Popcorn. Oh, I didn't bring the mini in. It's okay. You'll see it next time. And I may have cast on that day. Whoopsies. So here's where I am with those. I love it so much. These colors here are getting a little washed out, but it's yellow, like a dark yellow, a lighter yellow, And then like this little wedge is like a soft, oh, there's better there. Soft green into these other fun little rainbow colors. And I love them. It came with like a, I would say like a dark sky blue mini. And I'm already placed my markers for where my heels are gonna go. So I was really happy that that blue is gonna go in between that sort of magenta and that purple. Yeah, and these are coming along great. I think I'm doing 2.5 repeats before these are done. Actually, that's a lie. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to finish this color repeat. So right before I get to, like just after the red, and then I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna pick up and put my heels in. Because it comes with a 20-gram mini, I really wanna use part of the mini for the cuff. And so I figure if I put my heels in, I'll know roughly, I'll know like how much it takes to do my heels, 1. And 2, I can better gauge how many rounds I can get to do like the ending of the cuff. So like some of the cuff is gonna be in the stripe and then some of it is just, it's gonna be in the blue, even if it's just the bind off. But I really wanna try to incorporate as much of the mini as I possibly can in this as well. So again, these are the May colorway for Woolens and Nosh. All the things I said about the socks previously, knit on a US 1, toe up to 68 stitches. I increase, I knit until whenever. Yeah, usually I knit until I can fold it over and the cuff goes a little bit past the toe, if I'm being honest. Sometimes I don't because I'm like, okay, I'm over these. So that's that. Wonderful. Oh, I'm so excited I'm doing this. It's like, it's been so long and now I feel like, oh great, I'm sharing everything and now I don't have to like worry about like not using something or not. Just like holding off because I love sharing stuff with you all. And so I'm like, oh, I can't use this or I can't blah, blah, blah because I have to show my friends on the podcast. Like some of the stuff that I'm about to show you from Montreal, I've been like wanting to cast on so bad, but I can't because I need to show you all first. So that's it for all the knitting, crocheting, spinning content. If you want to dip, thank you so much for coming. If this is your first time watching and you're not interested in some fun acquisitions I got at Knit City Montreal, then make sure you do all that fun YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. Yeah, and for those of you that want to stick around to hear a little bit about the trip and see all of the craziness that is sitting beside me, let's get into it. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, I went up to Montreal with my friends, met up with our friend Kiara, who dances for Les Grands. Met up with the fellows from Needles at the Ready. We had an Airbnb together. Well, not her. My friend Kiara, she lives there, so she didn't stay with us at the Airbnb. Anyway, we got an Airbnb, a nice pad. If you have watched Needles at the Ready, you've heard most of these stories already. And it was really cool. The first night, we ended up going to see a little dance performance that Les Grands was putting on, sort of a choreographic workshop. Interior thing, so people in the company choreographing on each other, as well as some rep pieces, so things that they would perform like in a season on the main stage for ticket-paying audience. And it was really cool, some really beautiful work. I'm definitely going to be reaching out so I can find out more about some of them because I really loved some of the choreography. And the dancers, obviously, I'm always going to go up for dancers. They were beautiful and danced wonderfully. There wasn't a bad meal, really, the whole time that we were there. It was my first time going to Montreal, so we flew. Short flight from Chicago. I think, well, on the way back, we flew nonstop, and it was maybe a little over 2 hours. On the way there, we did a stop and then another thing, so it was literally an up and down flight, up and down flight. but we wanted to save money, so we split it up in the beginning. And then a direct flight back, because we needed to get back home, because my friend had to go to work, like, that day that we flew in. So we did that. We got to hang out with Max and Vincent, like I said earlier, which was really awesome. Max was the best, and one night we ate on this main strip close to where they live, and we sat and knit at this restaurant bar for like 3.5 hours, which was really awesome, just catching up, chit-chatting. And I jokingly was like, oh, like, because I know Max is really into records. Oh, is there a record store nearby? He's like, yes. They can go back to the house. We'll go to the record store. We'll meet up with them. And so that was really cool, getting to, yeah, just go to a record store in a different country. I've done that a couple times, and I'm always like, oh, this is like I said about the other things, same, but different. And the dollar was a little bit stronger, so I was like on Jeff's website looking up how much it was going to cost for a couple albums that I couldn't find here in the city, and it was definitely cheaper. So I ended up buying 3 records, and I was really excited about that. And then we went and we got to hang out at their place, which was really nice. See Lola, their dog, which was so fun. Yeah, and it was nice spending time with a bunch of creative people, especially creative folks that are within this space. Yeah, really great. And then the festival happened. So much to say for the festival. It was a little bit of a drive away from where we were staying, which was cool. So we, drove over. Got there a little bit later in the day, but not too late. The first day was cool. A lot of walkthrough to see everything. Definitely said hello to some of you, which was like so heartwarming, and it always takes me aback a little bit because I'm like, people may be watching. I don't know. And so to be in that space and have people come up and chat with me, it was really lovely. So if you stopped and I talked to you, or because I was with the boys too, like chatting with folks, it was just really wonderful getting to chat with everyone. And then over the course of the 2 days, like the first day I really didn't buy much. I had one thing that I really wanted to get, and then another thing, oh, the dog left the room, thank goodness. Another thing that I wanted to get was from Sonder Yarn, but their booth was packed. So I was like, we're coming back the next day. Let me just save it. I will get it tomorrow. So let's go through. I'm showing these in no particular order. It's just like, let me show you all the fun things that I bought. So the one thing that I knew I had to have was, I'd seen on Instagram these bags by this maker who uses Harris tweed, which is really nice, and like it has to go through this whole process so that you can say that you're using it. Anyway, they put a little sticker on it, and the name of the company is Misnosh. Here's their little tag, her little tag. Oh, it's so blown out, you may not be able to see it. Anyway, I picked up this little bag, so good. It has these little leather handles. They smell amazing. And it has drawstrings on it, so you can close it that way as well. It's a little stiff right now, obviously, because it's brand new. But, yeah, she said the more you use it, the more that it will... Oh, I wish I could remember her name. I have it written down somewhere. I want to say it begins with an A. She was really lovely. It was so nice talking to her, and all the bags in there were just stunning. So this was a little bit of a splurge. It's also giving me purse vibes, which, I mean, I'm here for that. And I have a lot of project bags, but I don't have anything like this, of this price. Let's say that. So this was definitely a splurge, but I'm super happy with it. It's fun. It's so cute. I love it. Now, inside of this, because I was like, oh, I have a bag, now I can put other things in it. We saw the day before, I think I bought these I bought the bag on Saturday, but I bought these yarns on Sunday. We walked past Rose Hill Yarns. Now, I'd never heard of them before, but the way that their display was kind of brilliant. Where they had, was it DK on one side of the booth and then all fingering on the opposite side. And everything was sort of, I don't know if gradiated is a word, but like done in a gradient. So if you wanted to make a 5 skein something, you could see the gradient laid out in like different shades or whatever. And I thought that was amazing. So we walked past on Saturday and I was like, oh my God, like those colors though. So then on Saturday, Saturday, I walked over and, oh, I wish I could remember her name too. I just remember her husband's name because he was a pusher, like in the best way possible. And pretty much sold me on getting all the things. And then we ended up chatting again with them on Sunday as well. And I went back to the booth. So originally I got these 3 skeins, move tags, and this beautiful sort of fade. So this is Silty Rocks. So beautiful, like a little chocolate. And then this one is Thawsome. So some of that chocolate spilling over. Oh, this is just so beautiful. And this is Rock Melt. And then I went home and I was like, oh, like, what am I gonna do with those? So these are all fingering weight. They're 75/25 superwash merino nylon, and they're kind of big skeins too. There's 463 yards, 400 grams in each. And I was looking around online. I found a Hohi pattern. I don't remember the name of it, but definitely I would be talking about it because I'm going to end up making it with this. So on Sunday, I had to go back and get another skein, the fade, which Kevin and Ray were like, you should have just bought the 5 skein fade. Whoopsies. So this one is called Spring Thaw. So the whole fade was absolutely gorgeous. Now, when I was talking to them about the colors that they use, I was really digging the saturation and how deep the colors were. And they explained to me that where they live, they dye using well water. And so the pH of the water is a little bit different than if you were in a city using chlorinated water. And so because of that, it gives you like a more rich color consistency. And I was like, that sounds sciencey. That's really cool. I love that. So yeah, good times. These are beautiful. If you've never checked out Rose Hill Yarn, like, you should, because I haven't even worked with it and I'm a fan. I am a fan. So these get to go back in this beautiful Miss Nosh bag. And then we saw a viewer, his name is Lewis, sweetest human, with his wife. We took photos and we were just like chatting with him. And at some point during the day, I think this was on Saturday, he came up and he gave us a bag and said, oh, these are for you all, a little gift. And the 3 of us were kind of like, what? Okay, cool. And so this is, I'm gonna say Biscotte, which could be wrong. So he gave a little self-striping kit. So this is a little piecemeal. And this is 85/15 superwash merino nylon. And this is 435 yards. So a fingering weight. And the color is called Dark Side. Yes. So these are fun. It's giving me rainbows, kind of, I think. When we walked past their booth, they had everything sort of laid out too, and so you could see what they were, but I didn't see the name of it, and so I don't remember. So now I have to go on the website and look that up. So thank you for that. That was very sweet. Put this bag over here. All right, then, what's in this bag? Oh, Lord. Then we stopped at Ginger Snap, right? Yes. And their booth was really cool as well. And so there I picked up, they had this these pixelated sock sets, and in the display, all of them were shown knit up like as if they were going to be socks, and so it looked like pixels going through in this gradient and then getting from lighter to darker. They also had it knit up in the yoke of a sweater, and then the rest of the sweater was solid, and I thought that was pretty dope. And they were such lovely people, and so I picked up this pixelated full sock set. So it's 80/20 superwash merino nylon, and it's comes with 2 minis. I think this is Siren is the colorway, and it's about 566 yards. So it has the 2 minis there. I'm really excited to make some socks out of these. Definitely gonna do opposite heels and toes, I think, maybe. So like one sort of this like lavender, the other one this blue, and then swap the heels. I think that might be kind of cute for these pixelated socks. And because they were so awesome, they let me pick out something for you all. So at some point we're gonna have to do a giveaway. But here, I can put this in this bag. We're just consolidating. And so for you all, I picked up these Ziggy Zebra mini snap sets. And so these are 75/25 merino, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minis for 100 and, no, not 100, not 100. This says 510 yards. Crazy. Oh, you can't really see. Oh, there we go. So these are all a fun little mini set, and they glow in the dark, which is so awesome. So I'll think of a fun giveaway, and we will do something cool for y'all so that one of you can have these. So thanks to Ginger Snap. That was so neat. Love that. All right, where to next? Oh, we got to see our friends Christopher and Jamie of Cabin Boy Knits. Hang out with them for a minute at their booth, and Jamie's son interviewed us for something that's going to be on the Cabin Boy Knits channel. And so I had never used any of Christopher's yarn before, and so I picked up some DK. It's a superwash Pullworth. It's about 225 meters for 100 grams, and this was dyed with, what does this say? Indigo, lac, and something else. Anyway, I think it might stripe. Not really sure. I've never done DK socks, so maybe this should be that. So this is from Cabin Boy Knits. So nice. I also have a pin too that's somewhere. Coolio. Then, oh my gosh, you all. I'm trying to go quickly, but like not. Then, of course, on Sunday, as I was going through and buying the things that I knew that I wanted to buy, I was like, oh, you know what you should do is you should spend even more money, and you should, that bag is empty now, you should buy some fiber while you're here as well. And so I did, especially because I've been on such a big spinning kick. So both of these are Cheviot, and it's 100 grams. It's 100% Cheviot. And I'll show them differently. These are from Akara. So here's the first braid I got. Oh, it's so moody. And I want to say that the fiber's gray, but then it was dyed over the top. So this is Potion 22. So I thought this was really beautiful. And then the second one I got was Potion 23. So a little bit lighter with some purples and greens in there. So I thought these two were stunning. I don't think I've spun Cheviot before, but yeah, her booth was absolutely gorgeous. And so like as I was going through the festival, I'd like go on Instagram to like make sure I was following people, and some of them I was definitely following. That was the purpose of going. And it was cool to see some new people, and she was one of the people that I was following, and I felt silly. So I picked these up from, I want to say it's Akara fiber. Love. These now can go in the bin since there's some space in the bins that are below, and the stuff I've spun can go in there. And then this is gonna crinkle for a sec. I went to, oh, what's the name? Because this booth was beautiful. Layer Artifacts. Here's the little tag. Oh, can you read that? Sort of. Anyway, it'll be linked below regardless. So these are, how many did I get? 3 braids, whoopsies, that I got from there. And, sorry, I'm just trying to, these are, I don't remember how much these weigh, but this one is Masham. Oh, it's really beautiful. Braid. And this one is Corriedale. Really beautiful braid. Oh, I could just be doing it like that. Much easier. And this one is Devon Romney Exmoor? Question mark? Yeah, so 40, 40, 20. And here's that. This is just so pretty to me. Very neutral tones. So these were the 3 braids that I got from there. Really pretty. Oh, love, 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 love. All right, then, let me make sure I'm not missing something. Oh, there was something in this bag. Whoopsies. Then, these can go in there. Stopped at Fireweed Fiber Company and picked up, this is a drift, and this is in the oatmeal Blueface Luster. And it's 100 grams. And so I was really into like the gray, darker fibers that have been dyed versus, you know, like normally when you see like a braid of yarn, it's on a lighter color, and so you get those spots of white. And I wasn't really feeling that and wanted to go with more darker tones. So this is from Fireweed Fiber Co. Just some fun greens. The project, I want to spin for a sweater, which I know is a huge project, and so I'm trying to practice for that. And a lot of what I have that I think I want to do with it is green tones, and so I thought that this would go perfectly with some stuff I already had in stash. So that's that. All right, then I went to Sonder Yarns, which, amazing booth. Was really excited to finally see the stuff in person and like be able to touch it and meet Melissa. Yes, if that's wrong, someone correct me in the comments. And just like talk about all the things. And yeah, so I picked up some Sunday Morning DK, which is the 75 BFL, 25 Masham. And this is in the DK weight, and I got a sweater quantity because I was like, if I'm here, I hear people talk about this yarn, I want to try it, let's try it. And so I picked up 1 skein of this. It's called Personal Space. If I hold it here, it's better. And then I got a few skeins because this will be the main color of the sweater, and this is cover to cover, so a really pretty navy blue. So this is going to be sort of the color work, and this will be the main color of the sweater. I thought those two looked gorge together. There was another color that I wanted, but they like didn't have enough. I knew I should have just like pushed through people on Saturday, but it's fine. I love these 2 colors, and I can always order from online now that I have them. So these are really beautiful. Excited to start knitting this sweater now that this one's done. So this I already know is going to become a bubble sweater by Stephen West. I already have one. I want to make another one. And I thought just using these 2 colors would be really cool to do that. And then lastly, after all that, while I was hanging out with Max and Vincent, sorry, it's very crinkly, I got to see a lot of their yarn in real life, and that was a rip-roaring good time. And so I told Max that I really wanted to make the Yesteryear's sweater, which was his sweater that he designed for the Worsted book that was put out by Amy of Lobby Enemy. And yeah, I was like, can you just pull whatever and send me an invoice? And so I am using this. So this is going to be a Yesteryear sweater. So like most of the things that I bought, I already know what they're going to be, which kind of is great. So this is their British Aran. And so that's 75 BFL and 25% Masham. So the same thing as the Sonder yarn, which is really cool. Except this is a heavier weight. And so I got, oh my gosh, they're so similar. That's funny. I guess I'm entering a blue phase. This is Louis Shade. And then the color work on that one, oh, it's just going to be the natural. Is it better here? So I think these are going to be really beautiful. I'm so excited to start this. I like can't, it doesn't matter. I think I'm going to cast this on this weekend. I don't have anything to do tomorrow and I might just start. So really excited. I got a sweater quantity because I'm going to do the Yesteryears out of this. And I think that is all of my purchases. So all in all, I gotta say for my first Knit City Montreal, it was really cool, such a fun experience. Clearly I bought a lot and it was nice just hanging out with people in another country, even though, I mean, Canada's just right there. But it is another country still. And yeah, just you know, after having so many things and like being gone from you all for a month, it was really invigorating and like while I have been creative and doing things, I had this like huge surge of like just wanting to make and try all of the things while I was there. And I realized that like being in those spaces like really does do something to you if you, I mean, you're surrounded by good people, but like if you can take the time and like slowly go through and not feel rushed and just like take it all in, it really did just like give me a sense of like wanting to be super creative and make a lot more things. And so I'm really, while I did spend some money, I am really happy with all of the things that I purchased, and I'm excited to start making some more fun and exciting things that, yeah, have me really pumped for the next little while to just be making things. So if you've never been, highly recommend, although next year I think it's going to be in Toronto, like they're going to flip-flop between the two cities, which would be really cool too. Shorter flight for me if I decide to go back again next year, because I kind of want to. I don't think, oh no, I've been to Toronto before, so that would be cool. Go to the falls. Yeah, anyway, other than that, this video is going to be the longest that I've ever put out, but I mean, it's been a while, and I gotta say, it was really nice being able to sit down and to chat with everyone again. I hope you, if you stuck around this long, rock on, you're the true MVP. And if you are just joining for the first time and you stuck around this long, then you're an MVP too. And if you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe now because you've sat through all of this. Yeah, clearly I have a lot to do, to start making. So yeah, the next 2 weeks should be pretty busy for me. I think I will definitely be back on my schedule, although I'm pretty sure the next episode will come out on a Sunday because I have to attend a wedding for a family member on that Saturday, which is the next time that I'm supposed to podcast. So if you don't see it on Saturday, just know it's coming the next day. Unless I can squeeze in some time during the week and then release it on a Saturday. You guys, it's a crazy time right now. We'll see when we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Other than that, I hope everyone is well and you are enjoying the weather wherever you are. And if you don't like it to be hot, I'm so sorry. I hope you're sitting under a fan or some AC. If you enjoy the hotness, I hope that you are outside in it. If you're near a body of water, you are jumping in it. And yeah, I will see everyone in 2 weeks, for reals this time. Don't think I'll be taking another unintended break anytime soon. And yeah, until I see you all again, make a piece, spread some peace. Peace.